Okay, we're going to take a look at 5 submissions for the hue circle assignment in which you were to use the out-of-the-tube primaries and from those mix the secondaries and tertiaries. All the hue segments needed to be the same size, and we were going for flat color, no transparencies, and clean craftsmanship, and then of course you were to include the color control strip. Position the grayscale so that it's closest to the work. So why the color control card? Well, we can see looking at this that there's some darker areas and lighter areas in the corners. There's kind of a shadow here. We can see because of the drop shadow that this is lit probably from this direction, not straight up, because this is fairly dark. The hot spot on the shiny wall is off center. Not sure where the background came in, if these things were actually cemented to the wall. It is preferable that you're not cementing to a piece of architecture, but that you're actually using a gray surface of some sort that is hopefully paper related or board related. The texture of the wall here is really kind of getting in the way. The craftsmanship appears to be okay, except that things don't seem to be cemented really well, and I'll just bring this closer. We can see that the corners are lifted, there's gaps, and so this is really not a permanent thing. It looks like it has been temporarily positioned and photographed. So this would not be a finished presentation. This hue circle is your reference for future assignments. So if you're going to put it on a wall or something like this and not protect it, not keep it on hand as a thing to refer to, then the point of the assignment in some ways has been missed. And I really can't say that any other way than to say there are certain specifications in the assignment brief that should be followed. And if there's a materials issue, then connect with me and we'll figure something out. So you see how the gray this looks? That white isn't white. This is actually gray, but it should be white. So everything is labeled properly. Everything is in the correct position. Yellow at 12, red at 4, blue at 8, like a clock face. So then we just want to look at, are the hues correct? Is the green a good midpoint between the yellow and the blue? Is the red-orange a good midpoint between the red and the orange? Okay, so the green is within range. The yellow-green is a little on the yellow side, but it's okay. The blue-green is okay. We can see that there's a little bit of streakiness, like the paint is a little too thick. The yellow-orange is within range. Both of these are orange. So this would be better served to be in this position than we need a red-orange. So we can say that we need more red on the red-orange. Now the red-violet's gone really blue. So this needs more red. Violet needs more red. Blue-violet, it's on the blue side. It needs a little more red. It's right on the edge, so we're going to call it okay with the understanding that it can nudge toward red quite a bit more. So the main issue is over here. Okay, this is not a color control card. A color control card is going to look more like this. So there's basically nothing that I'm going to be able to key off of on this. The hues are labeled correctly. Looks like it's on a 9 by 12 background, and the diameter of the hue circle is 7 inches. But there's a lot of fitting issues. There's a lot of gaps between the swatches, and the swatches are also not cemented to the backing. Looks like maybe a dull blade. One of the things about using the blades is that you do have to change them fairly often. If you're doing this much cutting, you're going to go through probably at least 2 blades, maybe 3. Sharp blades are safer than dull blades. Dull blades can skip and go places you don't want them to go. So make sure that when you're cutting with the X-Acto knife that you are using sharp blades. So the red, yellow, blue, the primaries appear to be okay. The yellow-orange could use a little more red. The orange is within range, but both of these are orange. So again, as with the previous one of these needs to leave. So this one needs more red. So this could use a bit more blue. The green can use a bit more blue. And the blue-green, it's kind of on the edge. It's more of a viridian than it is a teal, and it needs a little bit more blue. The violet is within range. The red-violet could use a little bit more blue. Well, no, it's in range. Blue-violet is within range. So that's given the colors as they're presented. And the fact that I have nothing to key off of, the assignment title is definitely missing here. So craftsmanship needs to improve, and the assignment needs to be complete, and we need a different color control card. This is looks like a paint sample card that you'd get in a art store. Okay, to photograph an assignment, tape it to the wall rather than stand it up against a wall, because this curve is actually really not acceptable. These are supposed to be flat presentations with square corners and straight edges, so two sides parallel and another two sides parallel. And so if you're just going to stand this up against the wall, it doesn't have the ability to be self-supporting, and then you're getting a lot of distortion in the presentation. One of the things you should do all you can to get used to right away is that you will be working in a professional capacity at some point. And how you present your work is as important as the work itself. You can't sell a good idea with a bad presentation. So presentation of your ideas, presentation of your work is very important. We're missing a title here. And it's kind of interesting because if this is a 9x12, this color control card is really small. And that could just be the manufacturer of the color control. But it kind of looks like it was actually printed out onto like bond paper or something like that and then placed. Because there's a lot of streakiness, looks like there's some problems here with staining and things like that. So the color control card is something that you're going to be using every time you're photographing your work. So you can't adhere it to a prior project and still use it on a future project. So we do have the title here, but that actually needs to be here because that was the specification. All right, first thing to note is that things are really streaky. It looks like things are either overworked or the paint itself is too thin. The other concern is that in terms of layout and specifications, this is correct, but these two need to flip because red was meant to be positioned at 4 o'clock and blue at 8 o'clock. So because of the transparency concerns, we're not really seeing the color the way it needs to be seen. The red has a certain opacity to it, so that's okay. The blue it has highs and lows in it. The yellow is okay. This needs to move here. This needs to move here. And then we need a red-orange. So we need more red here, more red here, and more red here. This is green, that's green. So this needs to have a little bit more blue. This needs more blue. And this is actually looking like it's desaturated, because it's looking a little earthy, like some colors from over here were actually mixed in over here, maybe because the brush wasn't cleaned well enough. So remember, the hue circle is basically your color control for projects going forward. So the idea of getting this as accurate as possible is important. Also, it helps you train your eye through the color mixing. It helps you understand what, say, orange actually looks like as opposed to red-orange or yellow-orange. And you'll be able to more easily identify specific colors in specific hue families because of this color mixing. This needs to have more saturation, and it also needs more blue, just a bit. Red-violet, this is actually red-violet. This should be over here, and this is within range for red-violet. And then violet needs more blue. And then blue-violet needs more blue. So basically all of these need more blue. Okay, this one seems a little foggy, which may be due to the camera lens not being clean. If you're taking photos with an iPhone, make sure your lens is clean. Okay, we got the title here. That's fine. Looking for the titling of the hues. That looks good. But you can see that the whole thing kind of looks a little bit washed out. And that tells me that it's a camera lens thing. So when you are photographing your artwork, if you want it to be understood in the best way, make sure that you are cleaning your camera lens before you take pictures. So there's some staining on the background. The tip there is to only use the rubber cement where it's actually needed and not break too far beyond that, because certain materials will be stained by the rubber cement. So be very careful how you're applying it. Things look fairly flat and tight, and all the sections are butting up against each other with no gaps in between. We've got yellow at 12, blue at 8, red at 4. So this is a better yellow-orange, and this actually works within the range of orange. So this actually needs to go. So essentially we need more red, we need more red, and we need more red. With the red-violet, we're pretty close. It could use a little more blue. You can see that it holds closer to the red than it does to the violet. But then if we look at the violet compared to the blue and the red, it actually holds closer to the blue. So this needs more red. This needs just a touch more blue. This is within range. That needs to go there. So this needs more blue. The green needs more blue. And the blue-green needs more blue. The blue-green is kind of on the edge. It just needs a nudge more toward teal or aqua, a little bit more blue to get it there. Okay, we can see here again the lighting's a bit uneven, and it looks like it's kind of coming from the top, and we've got some shadow down here, and it's lighter up here. So do your best to light under an even light source, preferably two light sources that come from different directions. So first thing to note, the title's not present. There could be more care taken with the labeling. It seems kind of haphazard in terms of, this is positioned here, this is positioned kind of straight out from center. They're all kind of going... Take more care with how you're presenting. Think in terms of, if you were presenting this to a client, would you be this haphazard about it? Would you be this random about it? And if you decided to do that, then what would your client think about the quality of your work? Okay, we have transparency issues here too. The paint is way too thin. It is not opaque. And of course, with the paint being semi-opaque, we are actually seeing the color affected by the white paper, the substrate. So everything is looking tinted. We also have some issues here. Things are streaky. The yellow looks okay. The blue, again, is thin. The red is thin. Everything else but the yellow is appearing thin. And we have some measuring and fitting problems. So we're going to need more blue, and more blue. In fact, that should go there. This will need more red. This will need more blue. This actually looks desaturated, means there is color from here that is affecting the saturation or the brightness of the color on this. This would be okay if it weren't streaky. So we're going to say that's okay. This is your orange. That should go there. So we need more red in the orange and more red in the red-orange. This, I will say, probably needs more red, because that's what it's looking like to my eye. Now you might say, well, how do you know? How do you know that these colors are off? Well, it's a simple thing. If you are looking at a red and a blue, is this color a halfway midpoint between the blue and the red? If we're looking to get the yellow-green, is this yellow-green, is this particular color a midpoint between the green and the yellow? We can see that it has a lot more in common. It compares with the yellow and contrasts a lot more with this green. So we know that this needs more blue. It's actually quite logical It's a matter of paying attention to what you're seeing. It's a matter of asking, is that a good midpoint? Are there an equal visual amount of the primaries in the secondaries and an equal visual amount of primaries and the secondaries in the tertiaries? The more practice you have, the better you will become at discerning color subtlety. And I've been doing this a long time. I was at one point in the same situation you are, basically learning to mix color and not being so great at it, but I persevered. Stay with it. With each new assignment, work to improve, and where assignment results give you the opportunity for revision and resubmission for an improved grade, take advantage of it, because you're going to learn a lot in the process. It's not just getting the grade improved, it is what are you going to learn by doing it again? And how's that going to benefit you a year from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now? Thanks for watching.